Hello, everybody. How's it going? Hey, Anita. What's up, Bud Files? How's it going? Jax, thanks for being here. Kayla, Kayla, how's it going? Um, so how you doing, Bobby? Guys, I want you to welcome Bobby
Hey,
and Nikki.
Hey.
how are you, Eli? It's great to be here. Bobby J.
Well,
Gallo and Nikki G, right here from Gallo Family Ghost Hunters, my little girl. So she's one of the four.
Erica, one of the four.
One of the four. I'll do it
Oh
over here
yeah.
so I don't block her face again. That was rude.
No, you're like you're not now. No.
Hey, everybody.
There he goes again.
Did I do that again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm right-handed and you're going my way. So, hey, everybody. We'll get this right by the end of the show. Trust me.
I know, right? No. But yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, and
Yeah.
what made you into an investigator now these days? Like, how did you get started?
Sure. Well, basically, like, a lot of people know who I am, but probably even more in the paranormal world don't know who we are. But we have actually been investigating as a family ghost hunting team. And that's really what makes us unique. We started back in 2011. And basically, I should really preface this. I have been a paranormal investigator since 1990. That's when I did my very first investigation. So way far back, I investigated a haunted theater. And a very interesting side note on that, Weird New Jersey, if anybody's familiar with that magazine, it's kind of iconic here on the East Coast. Actually, over the summer, just this past summer, did a 5-page spread on my very first investigation in 1990. And I stopped doing it for a long, long time. And, had a family, had kids. And, back in 2011, there was this brand new show that you might have heard of called Ghost Adventures. And my kids were immediately enthralled with this show. They loved it. But they had no idea that I used to ghost hunt. So one day, we're all sitting on the couch watching Ghost Adventures, and I turned to my kids, and this is when she was like really little.
I was not really little.
You were
I was in
like 12.
I was freshman year of high school.
What? How old is that?
Like 14.
14. Your sister was like young.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I turned to them and I said, "Hey, kids, Dad used to do that too," and it was like the world stopped, and they, it was like that moment in the movie Spy Kids where they say, "My parents aren't cool enough to be spies." And immediately, no fear, no hesitation, they wanted to go ghost hunting. So even though I had done it like decades earlier, I wasn't really in tune with it, what, paranormal investigators were doing these days. So I bought some rudimentary equipment. And basically our thought was, how cool would it be if we went out and got just like one EVP, one photographic anomaly, anything? How cool would that be? So we ended up going out and investigating, and it turned out that we were getting just mountains of evidence. I mean, just all kinds of things that would just, blow you away. So, at the time, there was nobody really doing web series, paranormal web series on YouTube. In fact, you could count the number of paranormal web series on YouTube on one hand. That's how few people were doing it. So I said, well, what the heck? Let me put one of our videos on YouTube, and it went viral. It got tens of thousands of views, and it wasn't just the subject matter; it was the dynamic of the family who ghost hunts. So I said, okay, there's something here. So we started a web series. And up until today, the web series has almost 60 episodes spanning, it's going to be 10 years now, since we've been doing it, investigating some of the most haunted locations in America, some famous, some not so famous. And we've, won a couple of awards with the web series. And, 2 years ago, a lot of people in our fan base asked me to write a book about our experiences, because it's one thing to watch the web series, but it's another thing to have the web series actually explained. What was in our head at the time? What was the car ride like on the way home after we had the crap scared out of us? And, that's why I wrote the book. Family Spirits, which I'm holding up right now, the evidence and adventures of Gallo family ghost hunters. And it hit number 3 on Amazon in the adventure travel category. And it's done very, very well. And that's where we are today.
Nice. Cool. Hey, what's up, Ron? I see you, man. Just
Hey,
come
Ron.
in.
I've been waiting for you to come in. Wow.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you know, I mean, all the premieres you had, I was there. Amazing footage, and let's start off with the equipment you use.
Okay.
Can you show some, if you don't mind?
Sure. Nick, you want to get the gear bag? And it just so happens that we're in my office, and my gear bag happens to be here. So, yeah, there you go.
Everything
Back when we were starting, I mean, and I tell people in the book, you don't really need a lot to go ghost hunting. You basically just need a really good digital camera, an EMF detector.
I'll be back.
Okay. Well, while Eli is taking that phone call, let's talk to all of you. This is basically a brand new piece of equipment we have, and this was designed by Gary Golka, and you may have seen him on Ghost Adventures, and it's called the IR thermal detector. Nick, just bring the whole bag over here, put it right here. All right, thanks. Okay, and basically what this is a brand new piece of equipment that is out now. And if anybody's familiar with Ghost Radar, this is actually like a pro version of Ghost Radar, and basically it's a thermal detector. And basically what it does is on a grid here, it will detect hot and cold signatures, and similar to a thermal gun, it will detect hot and cold signatures, and similar to a thermal gun. So basically, I know we're on a little bit of a delay here with YouTube. I just went over to YouTube really quick, and that's why I paused here, because I just had voices coming in all over the place. There we go. I'm going to shut YouTube off there. Hey, Jax.
I'm back.
Okay. All right. Eli took a phone call, so I've just been explaining some equipment that we use to the audience. Now, another piece of equipment that we use, of course, is a EVP recorder. This happens to be a Zoom HQ, and Zoom, they really make some of the best stuff on the market. I'm going to tell everybody right now, EVP is probably one of the most tried and true pieces of. It's really the gold standard of paranormal evidence. I mean, you can get a lot of things, but people still view, EVP as the one reliable piece of paranormal evidence out there. And here's a very funny story about this particular recorder. Back when we started doing Family Spirits, there were a lot of people, watching us. We actually got approached, to do a few television shows, but I, for reasons, that things they wanted us to do on the television shows, I declined. But one day I get a package in the mail, and it had this in it. I mean, this is a $200 EVP recorder. It also had a Tri-Field Natural EMF detector, which is in my bag still. It had a REM pod when they very first came out, and it was easily $1,000 worth of equipment. And the return address on the box was Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I finally found out who gave it to me, and it was the wife of a Warner Brothers exec, and they actually had an eye on us for a long time. So things were really rolling along there for a while. We did have a negative experience that kind of put us on hold, and our momentum just went, like that. And it wasn't until a few years later where we actually picked it all back up, but those opportunities were long gone by then. But so anyway, I showed them 2 pieces of equipment, Eli. So where do you want to go?
Okay. With the EMF meter, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Let's say you're checking the house for any disturbance of a spirit or whatever, right? Okay. I know you got to have all the electricity off and everything. Now, let's say there's like a metal columbine bar outside. Could that attract that to go off or anything metal in the house?
Well, the first thing you need to do when you're investigating anything is do a baseline reading. What is the baseline reading? That's when you go through the house with an EMF detector first to detect anything that's going to set it off, so that you can rule out right away whether or not that's going to be paranormal. So if I go towards a wall and I'm getting all this EMF, and that wall has a lot of uninsulated wiring in it, that's going to set the EMF detector off. So I already know that spot is going to set that EMF detector off. So we want to stay away from that. Once you do that baseline reading, then once you're doing communication and whatnot, you can possibly rule that as paranormal or not. That being said, we don't do investigations in a lot of homes. We do them in cemeteries where there is no electricity or EMF.
Okay.
So when we do finally get a communication, it's most likely paranormal. And I've had a lot of skeptics say, yeah, but there is geomagnetic energy coming up from the earth that could set off the EMF detector. But the bottom line is that's normally so minor that it's negligible.
Yeah,
if you
exactly. Well, you got to think like you're in the house, right? Let's say the owner says, okay, I'm going to turn off all electricity. It takes time for that power to go down, right?
Right.
And then you guys also think, is there any rodents? Is there any uneven floors?
Correct.
Because it could give it a fun fact, whatever you call it. I mean, where you can go, you have fun with it. Not really fun, but, and you also got to think about, is it or the doors old or not? Because when the door is old, it's weak. A heavy door is different because it's real steady. You can't, even with the wind, it won't close it. And there you go. How does that work? Can you show us?
This is a static pod. And this is one of those things that was in that box of equipment. Now, this isn't like a regular REM pod. As you can see, my hand's not going to make it go off. But if this was on the floor and you were to shuffle your feet, those lights would go crazy. This actually detects static energy, which at one time was theorized was associated with paranormal activity. These are very hard to find these days, actually. But we've actually used this on a lot of investigations, successfully. In Salem, right?
Yeah.
Salem, yeah.
Yep. So that's another piece over there. This is something that anybody can get. You don't have to go to a paranormal supply house. And this is something everybody should have in their arsenal. And this is a temperature gun. Now, when we very first started learning how to do paranormal investigation, there was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Harry Stafford in St. Augustine, Florida, who trained us in the proper use of a temperature gun. And he was old school. He said, hot and cold spots, that is one thing that has been associated with paranormal activity for probably 1,000 years. So, not with a temperature gun, obviously, but, just hot and cold spots that you could actually feel. So he was a very strong proponent of looking for temperature changes to validate paranormal activity. What's nice about these Black & Decker guns, then you can still get these on Amazon, is the fact that it shines a colored beam. And when the temperature changes, the light in the area where you're taking the reading also changes. So it's good. You don't actually have to have your eyes on the meter the entire time. You could actually just look at the color of the beam. And so I highly recommend these, and these are still readily available.
Now, I was looking at the old Unity Cemetery. Now, if you would have went there, have you used the one there before? The one you're holding up? Okay. Have you caught anything with it, like spiritual wise or feeling wise, or have you seen any spirits? I know Nikki. She's an empath, right? Like
yep, she's an empath. I'm gonna let her talk.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. What do you want to know?
He wants to know if you've ever seen a ghost.
I've felt a spirit. I've plenty of times.
How does that feel like to you?
Feels weird. It's almost like a chill up your spine, but it's a sensation too, because kind of like when you talk to somebody and whether somebody's mean or a negative person or a positive person. It's the same way you could feel a spirit. you could just sense what they're feeling, whether they're good or they're bad at the middle of it, or they're just scared or upset. Like I pick up on it so quickly. Like the second I go into a room or I go into a field, like I could just feel it.
Yeah, if you ever want to see Nikki in action, and the one investigation that really shook her up, go to the web series, and just for everyone here, the address of the web series is ghosthunter.ws. It's ghosthunter.ws, not .com, .ws, and look up the episode called "The Gatekeeper," and that was one that Nikki would rather forget. But you could watch it and then decide whether you want to forget it because it was a very negative investigation.
Wow. So Nikki, does it what does it affect you personally, like when you go to school and stuff like that? When you went to school, being with friends, like going out, like
it affected me in a weird way because in middle school, high school, there were a lot of kids who would make fun or belittle me for doing it. You know what I mean? Almost how kids are. They like to make fun of something they don't understand. And so it kind of made me shut down for a while. Now I'm a little bit more proud of what I have done and what I've accomplished. But back then it was so hard because every time I go to school, I would just get those stupid kids who would just be like, yeah, this is funny. This is funny.
Well, basically, her boyfriend's really into it, so now it's not so
that's
bad.
a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, I chose the right one this time. It took a couple of guys.
Well, like when you mean shut down, like you shut down and not talk to anybody at school, or you tried to shut down
as far as promoting the show, or even when it came up to like people asking me questions, I would just kind of like steer clear of it. I would almost try to change the subject.
And here's the thing, regardless of what anyone says, this girl right here has fans. She does book signings. She sits down at a table and people ask for her autograph. How many of her friends do you think would wish they could sign an autograph?
Exactly.
I mean, it's jealousy. We had a web series and a worldwide following, and they couldn't handle it. They didn't want to admit that she was doing something that they wished that they were doing. So kids are kids, like she said. Thank goodness she doesn't run with, in those crowds anymore. But yeah, look, you know what? But any of us that are in the paranormal, and I'm sure the people that are watching this right now and will watch it, you guys all know that we are in a very specialized field and we run into skeptics all the time. And, people will not accept what we do for a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. Take the religious reason and throw that out, immediately. A lot of people that think that everything that we are talking to are demons, which is not true. Mm-hmm. And then there are those who are skeptics because it's not that they don't believe, it's that they don't want to believe. Because a lot of people actually suffer from something called phasmophobia. You know how people with arachnophobia hate spiders? They just freak them out. Well, phasmophobia is the fear of ghosts. And some people are so terrified of the possibility that ghosts exist, and heaven forbid they realize that ghosts are everywhere. They freak out. It's also called spectrophobia. So people don't want to believe. And you could be any age and be terrified of what we do. Like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I mean, how are you not like totally terrified? Like we have an episode where Nikki, photographed a full body apparition standing right next to me. Yeah. And we were in a cemetery at midnight, and we're having communication, and we asked the entity if it would mind posing for a picture. And Thomas Sprott was his name.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about him.
Yep. Yeah. Check out the episode called "The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott" at ghosthunter.ws. Cool thing is, everything I'm telling you guys, you can go and see anytime you want at ghosthunter.ws.
Question. I got a question for both of you. Have you guys ever had an attachment or something negative?
Yeah, that's why we got out of it for a couple of years. You learn, and sometimes you have to learn the hard way. I have some cardinal rules of ghost hunting now. And the first rule is never ghost hunt at home. So anybody here, I know you might do it. Like that means don't test equipment at home. Don't do EVPs at home. Don't summon things in the place where you sleep. Because if you invite these things into your home, sometimes it's tough to get rid of. You should begin and end an investigation there, wherever there is, but it should not be in your house. Because I continually to this day, I have great friends in the paranormal community, and they're having all of these problems and things in their house. I'm like, why are you doing this in your house to begin with? You shouldn't be doing it there. That's number one. Number two is never take anything from an investigation, because objects can have a spiritual attachment.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about mud on the bottom of your shoes, because it's all about intention. It's like when you intentionally take something home. What you get to take home are your experiences and your evidence. That's it. And you should always do a opening and closing prayer or meditation at the investigation site. You tell the entities, I'm going, you're staying, and mean it, because this is a psychic phenomenon. A lot of this takes place in the mind. Your thoughts and intentions are powerful things. So that's number two. Number three is don't antagonize. You might see this on a lot of the ghost hunting shows. It's a bad idea, because you want to be respectful. Spirits are not trained monkeys there for your entertainment. Thank you, K-Laws. Love you too, buddy. No ghost hunting in the house. Lori, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Right on. Ghosts are not trained monkeys there for your entertainment. They are gracing you with any communication they give you, and you need to be thankful and respectful for that. It's really, really important. So those are my three main ones. I know I have more, but right now it's escaping me.
That's okay.
Religious objects or metals, if you have anything.
Yes, thank you. Protection. That is.
I was gonna ask that next.
I actually have mine. I'm gonna go get mine.
Okay. Oh, Bobby, I
Yes.
remember you said you were gonna do a tattoo on
Yes.
your arm.
Yes, I haven't done it yet. No.
Okay.
Look, you know what? I happen to be Roman Catholic. We're Roman Catholic. That doesn't mean everybody's Roman Catholic. So the protection we use might not be appropriate for everybody. I know there's people that use sage. Some people are really big on protection stones, like black obsidian, supposed to, repel, evil spirits and things of that nature. We use Saint Benedict metals, and here's one. I'm going to put it up to the camera. You can see that right there. Now, the metal of Saint Benedict is actually known as the devil chasing metal, and has been for hundreds and hundreds of years. What you're looking at inscribed on that metal right there is an actual exorcism. And this has actually been used not only by Catholics, but many other Christian traditions. And I insist that we all carry this on an investigation. And ironically, since we've been carrying them, we get a little bit less activity, which kind of makes you think. Because if this is repelling entities that are not the most savory, then maybe we shouldn't have been communicating with them to begin with. But it's good, because I look at it as a filter. You're filtering out the bad ones, and you're communicating with the ones that are benign, which are basically the spirits of people. And that's really what we're trying to communicate with. Because there's all kinds of entities out there. We still don't know what shadow people are. We just don't know. They could be demonic. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I tend to think they're not, but I think there's something else. I think there's something other than traditional, ghosts of people. But then there are the spirits of the departed that are earthbound for any number of reasons. Could be unfinished business, could be fear of judgment, could be a lot of things. But Now,
have you ever thought, because we have shadows, right? When we die, we have shadows. This is kind of crazy, but far-fetched. But we have shadows. We see a shadow, our shadows. Okay. Right. When you die, where does our shadows go? Do you think that's our soul that's following us, or It's kind of stupid. I mean, just
No. Look. This is the paranormal. There are no stupid questions.
Yeah.
So let's
I mean-
don't even. I don't want to hear the word stupid because let me tell you something. I believe things now that I would have said were stupid 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
people ask me. They come up to me on the street all the time. They say, "Bobby, do you really believe in ghosts?" You know what my answer is? I passed the point of belief a long time ago. I know they're real. But it's the same thing as our mirrors portals.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
It could be,
Or can they be trapped um by by a witch or something? Could they be trapped in the mirror?
Well,
I mean, like
I don't know, but I don't rule anything out. I do 100% believe in haunted objects because we've had one. So I do know that if a spirit could be attached to a set of dowsing rods, which in our case they were, then they could be attached to a mirror just as easily.
exactly. Well, I mean, I know that we were talking about attachments. I know definitely ghosts could travel, right? I mean, especially that. Now I want to talk about the St. Augustine, Florida. Give me a second. Haunted City. Can you let us know something a little bit more about that city?
You want to talk about St. Augustine a little bit?
The one thing I remember is we used that temperature gun there too. I remember doing that.
Well, it was Dr. Harry Stafford.
Yeah.
Was
when we did that, and I do remember that. I remember that. I think that was that barn that we did.
We did a lot of haunted locations in St. Augustine. Probably my favorite was actually where they have the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. It's called the Castle Warden. There's probably no building in the entire world that contains more haunted objects, including real human shrunken heads. And I probably shouldn't be saying this publicly, but already I love you guys, so I'm going to give you an exclusive here.
Okay.
While we were on a walking tour at night through the Ripley's Castle, I kind of stayed behind and went off on my own. And that place is really freaky. I didn't stay with the tour group when I probably should have. But hey, I wanted to ghost hunt, and I didn't want all those other people around. And it was funny because we did capture some very interesting orbs. And they say that some people say orbs are dust. Well, I captured orbs in several rooms, and when they're magnified, they all have the exact same markings because if orbs are dust, they're going to be like snowflakes. No two are going to be alike. But I captured them, and it seemed to be the exact same orb following me throughout the Castle Warden. So that was pretty cool. And then we did some very haunted cemeteries like the old Huguenot Cemetery and the Talamato Cemetery and the Castillo de San Marcos, which is I said the Ripley's Castle is very haunted. Castillo de San Marcos, you've seen that on the big ghost hunting shows.
Oh yeah.
You go along the execution wall, we can still see the bullet holes in the stones from the old musket balls.
Wow.
Extreme activity. Every time you go there, the lighthouse is been on Ghost Hunters. They said that's the best place. We weren't even there. We got so much activity in other places. We never even went to the lighthouse.
Wow. Now, can you imagine all the vibrations and everything you get from those musket ball, the holes? Like, I mean, I bet you put your meter there and you get huge, huge meter, going high because, the energy stuck there in the past.
It is.
It's amazing.
I'm trying to grab something out of my case here while I'm talking to you. Oh, and I got it. Look at that on the first try. There's so much stuff in my case, But here's the thing about EMF. Sometimes you get EMF, sometimes you don't. It's a very fickle thing. Ghosts, thanks. Nikki, can you open that?
Yeah.
Ghosts seem to manifest in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
EMF is just one way that they do it. This is a tri-field natural. This is probably the best EMF detector in the world. And what makes this so good is this was actually designed to filter out man-made EMF. I'm going to put the microphone down there. I'll turn it on for you. Now, if I put it towards the computer, You can see what happens when I put it towards the computer.
Oh wow.
It's picking up the Eno. Now, where this really shines, and as you can see, this was specially modified for paranormal use. I mean, these things, they're like unbelievably pricey.
Do you have a Ghost Meter Pro?
Yes. Yeah, you can get out the Ghost Meter Pro. The thing about EMF is when you set it down and you have a spirit come back and forth, answering yes or no questions by pinging the needle once for yes, two for no. That's where those things really shine. And we actually did an investigation in a hotel, and it wasn't really an episode. I think I only have that posted on Daily Motion, where we tested the tri-field, and we just had it sitting on a table in the middle of the room, and the thing would go crazy on command. But this one right here, this is our most controversial piece of equipment. And you see this on all the earlier episodes of Gallo Family Ghost Hunter. We use this almost exclusively. It's called the Ghost Meter Pro. If you go and you do a search for these, you'll only find the Ghost Meter. There's no Pro on it, like I'm hiding it with my pinky. The Ghost Meter Pro has a special setting on it that allows you to have a real-time communication with a spirit. Now, the reason they stopped making the Pro version is because it was so controversial that the company was getting like threats from people. I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. I contacted them and I write about it in Family Spirits, and I wanted to know if this thing was real, because some of the communications we would get on that were absolutely outstanding. And they were unequivocally, yes, it was genuine. They vouched for it. They stood behind it. But they don't make it anymore because it's just too controversial.
Hey, Sergeant, but I like the hat. Where'd you get it at?
American Hat Makers. It's leather. Yes, it's leather. So
That's cool. No,
thanks.
I just wanted to ask that question.
That's where I got it. American Hat Makers. Yeah, the Ghost Meter Pro. Let me see if I could find the regular EMF mode. It is 3.
I'll put you back up. So
there we go. What I like about the Ghost Meter Pro, it's sensitivity.
Does that mean there's spirits in your house, or
no?
It's because of electricity.
It means that it's very close to a power source, namely the computer.
Okay.
A
lot of people.
There you go. Back there, it's not getting any, but it's so sensitive.
That's barely picking it up, but the second you get closer.
Yes, as soon as you get close to the computer.
Yeah, a lot of people take it the wrong way. That's why I say,
No, it doesn't mean. It means it's picking up electromagnetic energy. Now, electromagnetic energy can be an indication of paranormal activity. Yeah. We are totally convinced that it's one of two things. It's either the spirits themselves are electromagnetic, or the method by which they manifest on this plane is electromagnetic in nature. But there's a lot of things that are electromagnetic energy. The computer, your cell phone, the lights. It could be a whole lot of things. So yeah, but the Ghost Meter Pro has been great for us because not only is it sensitive, but the fact that, look, we do a web series, and when it lights up and it's loud, when it detects something, that enables our viewers to see it actually happening. Like, they don't have to see the meter, they can see it react. And that's why that is, to me, is such a valuable piece of equipment.
Now, going back to orbs, what's between orbs and mist?
Well, mist is ectoplasm.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Right. So mist is ectoplasm. If it's a paranormal mist, that is. Okay. Where are we located in the United States? Yes, we are in Pennsylvania. Okay, so that's Northeast United States. That's where we are. But we investigate everywhere. But what is an orb? Well, look, I'm going to say right off the bat to all the skeptics and orb deniers out there that, yes, dust and pollen and moisture can cause orb-like anomalies in cameras. via a process that has been termed backscatter. But there are paranormal orbs, and sometimes they're tough to distinguish. But you have to know what to look for when you see a picture of an orb. Here's an easy way to do it. If you see the orb and the orb has a concentric ring around it, it almost looks like a membrane, and it's radiating its own light, and it has internal features, most likely that's a paranormal orb. Dust orbs just look like these gray blobs. They don't have much of a feature at all, if any. And the same thing with moisture. They're very distinguishable. If you see the photos side by side, you can clearly see the differences between them.
Well, ancient traditions are going back to centuries of describing orbs or in one form or another as a Tibetan and Buddhist, right? In that era?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. I mean, Buddhism, there's a lot of traditions that have spirits in the shape of an orb. And, it's interesting to note, for the longest time, the camera manufacturers such as Sony, they had no idea what were making these little balls of light in the photographs. Then somebody came along and came up with this theory of backscatter, which is basically works like this. Let's just say this microphone is the camera and this is the lens. A little piece of dust has to be very close to the lens so that when the flash goes off, it reflects off the dust particle, goes back into the camera, and creates an orb. But that doesn't work in a lot of situations. That doesn't answer when I have a completely black photo and then I enhance it through a photo editing program, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a big orb. If this was backscatter, then that orb would have been there against an all black background because the dust would have to be close to the lens. Since it wasn't, by definition, it has to be very far from the lens, and that completely debunks the theory of backscatter.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. What do you think about pareidolia?
Well, pareidolia is a real phenomenon. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you look up at the clouds, you can see a face in the clouds. It doesn't mean it's paranormal. We had, and I put it in family spirits. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show you.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you probably now, this was not a ghost and this was not paranormal. This was pareidolia. But it looks really cool. So I used it. And there we go. I got it. Now, what does this look like to you? That was an oil spill on the floor of my basement, but it looks like a picture of Abe Lincoln getting his head shot off.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's not paranormal. That just happened to happen.
Wow.
And so it's there. Now, is everything pareidolia? No, absolutely not. You have to look at the situation something was taken. You have to look at how detailed it was.
Yeah.
You have to see if there's a meaning behind it. Some things are paranormal. Now, a lot of people say that could have been, and I'm like, okay, I mean, look, I don't rule anything out. I don't think it was. But yet that's a great example of it. I do believe, man, I've seen some back on the subject of orbs, I have a good friend who's a Reverend Neil Farley, and he's an orb researcher. All he does is research orbs, and he's got faces in orbs that'll blow your mind. There's no way this is, pareidolia. This is, in his mind, paranormal phenomenon, and I tend to agree. And Hugh Fairman does water vapor communication, and he gets images in water vapor, and some of them are very compelling.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow, that's crazy. So I know a lot of people, they go in the forest and they see faces and of just different things, So I mean, they look so real though. Even off the rocks, they get kids' images of moms holding the babies and stuff like that. So is that sort of paranormal, or is that dolia?
I'd have to see it to make a determination.
I'll get a picture on Twitter. I mean,
Yeah,
later I'll
yeah.
show
I
you.
mean, look, here's my criteria.
Mhm,
If you have to circle the corner of a picture
mhm.
and I have to search that circle for 5 minutes before I see what you're talking about, then I don't think it is, to be honest.
I'll send you the guy that does the pictures later.
Lunar, they come in white, yellow, blue, green. Are you talking about orbs? Because I agree with you.
That's how you spell it. Pareidolia.
Yeah, that looks right.
Yeah. Let me see. It's Pareido.
I have it in my book, but I
Yeah, let me see. I'll get it right here. I copied it. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, guys.
That's okay. That's
Hold on a
okay.
second.
It's close enough. Close enough for rock and roll, as they say.
Here you go. I just put it out there already.
Thank
So,
you, Lori. Thank you, though.
I think this is how you spell it.
I think you're right.
I copied it off Facebook. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I won't tell if you don't.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So what do you think about Ouija boards?
You know, look, first of all, Ouija board is called a conduit form of communication, which is a term that I coined. And that basically means that it's in the same category as crystals, pendulum, and dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
How it works basically is the spirit is working through you to make the planchette move.
Okay.
That's why you have to touch it, because you are moving it, but it's not you moving it. You see what I'm saying? I know it's a double entendre there. The spirit is making you move it. The spirit is influencing you to move that planchette. And that's how they work. And I just had an interview with a very famous psychic for my new book that I'm writing now.
Mm-hmm.
And she agreed with me. She says that's exactly how they work. And that's why you can't put a planchette there on its own and ask it to move. It's not going to move.
Okay, I can ask you a question, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but the planchette. Okay, is it true what they say in the movies? You look through the little glass and you see a spirit. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
Don't believe everything you see on TV and in the movies, because you could do a Ouija board they used to do it with just a regular inverted glass, like a drinking glass.
Yeah.
And that's how they used to use it before they developed the planchette. But I was told by this psychic, and her name is Sylvia Rossi, and you can read the whole interview when my next book comes out.
Okay.
She said there is a difference between even a Ouija board and crystal pendulum and dowsing rod. She said the Ouija board is based on an ancient Egyptian communication technique, and it's dangerous insofar as the fact that it creates portals.
Yeah,
and once you open them, they can be tough to close. So,
how can you close them? Do you mind?
I can't close. I don't know how to close a portal. I had a portal that was opened up, and I had to call a shaman friend of mine to close it.
Ooh. Now, what's the difference between Reiki and the shaman?
Well, Reiki is a modality of healing, energy healing, and shamans are basically, comes from a Native American methodology. But the shaman I knew was he was like me. He wasn't a Native American, but he was a shaman, which you can be, and he was a drumming shaman. Reiki is where you transfer your energy into a person for the modality of healing. You could also do it for other things. I heard that people can, and Lunar says yes on the Ouija board. I love these people. They agree with me.
But they're bad and good, and I agree with you.
Yes, I agree with that too. Yeah, no, you got a smart audience here.
I know.
Yeah.
They're all paranormal, so
well,
yeah,
they're right.
Mm-hmm.
They're right. Yeah. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
They're correct. Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
K-Laws, good job. But that's basically it. You're transferring with Reiki, you're transferring your energy. But I also heard that there are Reiki practitioners that can help spirits move on. And I think that's pretty cool. I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it recently.
Nice. What do you think? What do you think the difference between haunts and paranormal attractions?
Haunts and paranormal attractions. Well, paranormal attractions can be haunted. Like, paranormal attractions are like these asylums that people buy and then they just, rent them out for ghost tours or jails or things of that nature. The problem that is like you're spending all kinds of money to be in this moldy old place when you can just go to your local cemetery, because I'm telling you right now, my experience is all cemeteries to a greater or lesser degree are usually haunted. In fact, I say in my book, there's only one cemetery I ever investigated where I didn't get any activity. Normally, though, any other in cemetery will be active to a greater or lesser degree. So you don't need to go to these paranormal attractions. There's a lot of places. Go to your local battlefield. Almost every state has one for one war or another. Whether in the Midwest it was Native Americans and Union troops, or whether it was the South Civil War and the North Revolutionary War. They're everywhere, so go to a battlefield. You'll find a lot of activity in those places.
Exactly. Let's go to NDE, Afterlife, Paraphilosophy, and Metaphysics. What do you think about near-death experiences?
Well, I had one.
Yeah. Me too.
So you did too.
Yeah.
So we're part of the same club. However, mine was completely different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
I went in for emergency surgery. As a matter of fact, it's exactly 1 year from this month. And yeah, it was 1 year ago. And had a stone. I had a gallstone blocking my my bile duct, and I was going into septic shock. And my father, who passed away in 1983, appeared at my bedside in the hospital and asked me if I was ready to go. And I told him that I wasn't. I still had stuff to do. And he said, okay. He turned around, left, and he was gone in a flash. Doctor came into my hospital room, said, you're going back in for a second surgery. You're going into septic shock. And, here I sit, talking to you. But yeah, that was close.
Wow. Now, what did you see, like the pearly white gaze, like they always say? No,
Nope.
a lot of people.
I saw him. And I was told by the doctors that my doctors didn't tell me I almost died. I know I almost died.
Yeah.
Because I know people that have died from what I had. So I know that can be fatal. And so they didn't tell me that, but I knew. And he wouldn't have appeared there if I made one decision versus the other,
Now, as a spirit, because I know you passed away. How did you feel your body? Did you just see through your eyes, or?
Oh no, I was laying in the bed, and I believe I was seeing, but I was very out of it, because if anybody ever has, if anyone's ever going septic, you feel yourself fading. So you get to the point where you think you are between life and death. It's just a different kind of NDE.
Oh yeah. Mine was crazy.
Yeah, I know. You're telling me that before the show. Yeah, pretty intense. Pretty intense.
Oh yeah. Can airborne particles cause orb-like images?
Absolutely. But they don't look like paranormal orbs. That's the key. They look completely different. My daughter, Courtney, the one who's not here, she's down in Philly at college. She used to be able to see orbs with her own eyes. And she would say, Dad, there's an orb dancing on the stairs. And I would take the video camera and I would swing it over. And when we did evidence review, there was the orb dancing on the stairs.
Oh, wow.
So, Nikki is an empath. She has her own set of talents, but Courtney had her own set of talents too.
Yeah. Nikki, I'm in. Well, your other daughter, can she touch things and feel? Like, can she see things?
Not so much. Me, I definitely can sense things, especially if they had some sort of meaning to them. There was a point where there was that one episode with the graveyard. I forget what episode that was, where I just literally had to point to in the direction of where the spirit was, and it was right there in that particular plot. Like
I think that was the gatekeeper.
No, that wasn't.
No, wasn't the gatekeeper.
No, I actually like that episode.
Okay. All right. We have 60 episodes. I've
seen some crazy videos when you guys are just like at the old cemeteries. Oh,
remember it was the one with the beer can.
Yes. No spirits allowed. We have an episode called "No Spirits Allowed." That's the one she's referring to, where a grave was haunted because people were partying there and it was littered with beer cans. And "No Spirits Allowed" referred to spirits of the alcoholic type, but I don't think anybody ever got the double entendre for that title of that episode. So
wow.
I'm calling it right now. That's why we call it that. But yeah, that's a really good one. Yep.
Oh, that's wild, man. Just to even go to the graveyard and just like, I mean, that's disrespectful. People graffiti on it, people lean against it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right. I mean,
no.
The graveyard was old does not mean you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not calling it beautiful, but all those old graveyards from 1700s, like that is amazing, man. I mean, the stuff you caught is like, wow. I mean, imagine if you can catch an actual, just a soldier standing right beside it, waiting for a family to come and visit them, and knowing that all the families died.
See, you bring up a very good point, and an excellent point. In fact, that's like A plus plus plus.
Thank you.
Yes, an orb will have some. Yes, exactly. It will have a solid white ring around it. Yes, it will. Absolutely. No question. But one of the reasons older cemeteries are more haunted than newer cemeteries is because of the lack of visitors or human interaction. Here's something you got to understand. Your faith has a lot to do with what happens after you die. I'm not saying you're going to go to heaven or hell or anything like that. What I'm saying is, a lot of faiths say that your spirit goes immediately to another dimension immediately after you die. But like the old Protestant religions here in the United States, they believed that once you die, you sleep in your grave until the second coming of Christ. That's the belief. And in metaphysics, there's a belief that you create your own afterlife, your own destiny. If you want to stay in that grave because you believe that's what you have to be doing, then that's what you're going to do. So you're there, they're there. And, the mere presence of the living sometimes in these older cemeteries, which are predominantly Protestant, when you get to the 1800s and prior in the United States, you're entering a burial ground that could have dozens of spirits already there, because they believe that's where they're supposed to be. So it's very possible that, older cemeteries are probably, to me, the absolute best places to go. That being said, you better be really respectful when you go into these places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. They do not realize spirits can get pissed off. A1, man, 100%. Because why? Because they're people too. Okay, they're people just like you and just like me.
Respect them.
They just don't have their consciousness went on. They might not have a body, but they're still thinking. And I don't know how they see and how they speak, but they do. That's just the bottom line. They do. And how they do it, I have no idea, but they do it. And they do get pissed off. I mean, he was absolutely right on that. No question.
No, I do remember that the spirit was pissed off.
We've run into a lot of pissed off spirits.
Wow. Have they ever thrown anything at y'all? Well, I don't know about a graveyard, like throwing anything at you guys?
No, poltergeist activity is very, very rare. They are people just not. You got it, Lori. You got it. That's exactly right. And I preach it all the time. And I get really angry when I see it on these paranormal shows. The antagonism, I don't like it. And even Paranormal State, I love Ryan Buell. I just met him recently at a Paracon. He was the star of Paranormal State. They did antagonism on that show, and I just don't like it. I get a weird vibe from it, and I just know it's not right. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody in the audience have any questions?
Oh, yes, good idea. Well, hey, while we're waiting for that,
Yeah,
what do you think about cold spots?
Well, I could tell you that we do a lot with colds, but Nikki's always has a temperature gun in her hand, and where there's paranormal activity, there's usually a change in temperature. So I think cold spots are extremely relevant and definitely it's one piece of the puzzle when you're putting an entire investigation together.
Exactly. How about paranormal photographic?
Well, paranormal, I mean, we've gotten our full body apparition, so
Yeah.
I know that was a funny episode.
yeah, let's show everybody the full body apparition.
Oh, yes, please.
All right. Here's the setup, folks. Here's the setup. We're in a 200-year-old cemetery, and we are communicating with a 200-year-old spirit in the 200-year-old cemetery. His name was Thomas Sprott. I had permission to investigate, and we asked, midway through the investigation, we asked the spirit if he would mind if we asked him if he would pose for a picture. And through the dowsing rods that my wife was using, Renee, he said yes. Nikki G caught this picture. He started out as an orb about that big, and he eventually blew up to an ectoplasm cloud completely covering my wife. And I'm going to get to in a second here. I'm going through a 250-page book that I wrote here, and I'm almost there. And once I get there, here we go. Got it. Okay. If this is how it started. If you see the picture on the left of your screen, that's with nothing happening. And then if you look at the picture of the right, you can see him starting to form. What you can't really see here very well is that he's actually sucking the energy right out of her EVP recorder in order to manifest.
Yeah, you might have to go up a little bit more. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We see it.
See that?
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
Can you see the energy being sucked out of a recorder?
We see that. Wow.
Okay, good. Now, Nikki the entire time is going, Dad, you got to see this. And she's like elbowing me. And I'm like, no, honey, we'll do evidence review later. And she's like, no, you have to see this right now. Because she's seeing it through her viewfinder on the camera. Okay. I couldn't see it with the naked eye because it was infrared camera. Here is the grand result. This is a full body apparition standing right next to me.
Oh, wow. That is wild.
I'm the clueless guy on the left. You can see my wife in the foreground, and on the right is the ghost of Thomas Sprott. You can see the cloak, the collar, the head.
Yeah.
We asked him to pose, and he did. And that's in Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. And by the way, if anybody wants a copy of this book, we have a deal going on right now till the end of the year. If you go to FamilySpiritsBook.com, that's FamilySpiritsBook.com, and you enter the promo code 2021.
Yeah, Jack's put it in the chat already. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, 21% off the cover price.
One more question, because I know you're a busy man and getting late. What do you think about dowsing rods and pendulums?
Well, I use a pendulum. I don't use it a lot, but I do use it. Again, they're conduit forms of communication. My wife was probably the most amazing user of dowsing rods I've ever seen in my entire life, but she doesn't use them anymore because she had a negative experience with an attachment. And that's the risk that you run when you are using modes of communication that require the spirit to work through you. Now, I'm not saying don't use them. I am saying take precautions. She just doesn't want it anymore. And I'm not going to pressure her to do so. But I'm just saying it is a risk, that you run with those. Ouija board's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
but the other ones do still have a little element of risk, is because it's the mode by which the spirit is communicating. If it's a benign or benevolent spirit, you have no issues whatsoever. But if it's something earthbound with a lower vibration, you can't have an issue. It's possible.
Right. Cool. I appreciate you coming up, and I appreciate you sharing your journey with us.
My pleasure. I'll tell you what, I really love your audience. I mean,
Thanks, man.
Great. You're very educated on a lot of these subjects. And I really, coming from somebody who sees a lot going wrong in the paranormal community, I can really appreciate, that they know what they know. Because sometimes you feel like you have to really drum it into people, but it's great when people already know these things. Once again, just 2 websites to give to everybody. The first one is our web series. We really, really would appreciate. I mean, I am on YouTube. I mean, as Eli knows, I have a YouTube channel.
Amazing channel. Amazing. Amazing.
So you could watch everything on YouTube if you like and subscribe.
Thank you, everyone.
Vimeo is a better viewing experience because everything's in 1080 HD. And that's at ghosthunter.ws and familyspiritsbook.com. If you are interested at all in the book. You get the
Can you let us know what your next investigation is going to be, and if you can show your book again so everybody can see.
Oh yeah.
Hey, cute kitty.
Yep, there's the book. I keep blocking you, Nikki. I'm so sorry. Family Spirits. I'll block myself. There we go. Payback. I'll block myself. Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. You can also get it on Amazon, just to let you know. You don't have to get it through familyspiritsbook.com, but you get the discount if you go on the publisher's website, which is discount code 2021. So
nice. Well, guys, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And thank you, Nikki, and thank you.
This was a lot of fun, Eli. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm definitely this video. I've been lurking and I subscribe to Bobby Nikki's channel.
Yes.
We love you, cute kitty. We love cute kitties because we have 2 of them. And we love you, cute kitty.
And look out for his premieres too, guys. They're amazing. So
oh, thanks. Yeah, I have one. I have one dropping this Friday, but it's a short. If you ever see it and it says short, it means it's a really short video, which is actually kind of cool. It was done in Sleepy Hollow. Signed autographs in the book. Trying to think of how we can do that because from the publisher they're not signed, and neither are they from Amazon. Let me think about that. I mean, usually I sign books when we do the Paracons and the things of that nature.
Maybe it goes to our channel. Matt Vicious is privately on our Facebook channel.
Because right now, sometimes I have books in stock that I could sign and send to people. But right now, our last Paracon, that was the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural. That was up in Waterbury, Connecticut. We sold out of every single book. I had my own copy that was dog-eared there. And they even, in 37 hours of draw, thank you, Jax. Somebody even wanted to buy that one. So this copy right here, this is Courtney's copy. I took it for free. Right. I didn't have any other copies. We're waiting to get more printed. So right now, the only way to get one is through Amazon, or because they have them in stock. Actually, only 3 left, from what they tell me. And but the book publisher is, they have them. But I will see what we can do about signed copies, because I'm thinking of doing something. Somebody actually gave me an idea. Like there's one author that they'll sign a book plate, and they'll send a book plate for people to put in their own book and sign it that way. We might do that. That's an option.
There you go.
And I would send those out free. So
there you go. He's gonna do one for me.
Hey, Eli, pal, you got it, man. I can't sign your digital ebook copy, but if you ever
I'm gonna read it more. It's interesting.
Okay.
Once the house is quiet,
Yeah. Yep.
But thanks again, man. I appreciate you coming, and it's an honor, man. You coming up here like this.
Thank you. And anybody, you can get in touch with me through Twitter is the best way to contact me. Eli can tell you that. I always answer my Twitter messages.
Oh, yes.
So at Bobby J. Gallo on Twitter. So if you go and you watch our web series either on YouTube or Vimeo and you have any questions, I will get back to you. Okay?
Thank you, Q Kitty.
Thank you. I know. You got great people. You got great
Thanks,
people,
man.
Eli. You do.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You do. I can't say that about every podcast I've been on. I've been on dozens. Can't say that about everybody.
I know, right? Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, good people. All right. Well, all right, everybody. You guys have a wonderful night, and thank you for having me on. Honor was ours. Nikki, you want to say anything?
No, thank you, guys. Seriously.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Okay. Thank you. Again, guys, thank you for being a part of our journey and let us be a part of yours. And thank you for coming, and thank you for being my friend.